Whilst we're here, we're going to have a quick intermission break. This podcast is sponsored by laughter. I'll tell you guys a joke.
If I come back outside, yeah, tell them the joke.
Okay.
If I go outside, how do I get back in?
It's unlocked. Okay. The joke is I'm really on the spot here. Hopefully Freddie's going to edit this out. Do your thing, chicken wing. Andy the Stoic. So that was like a long-winded example.
Yeah, you have your mind. Put that on a t-shirt.
Bang. You have your mind, literally.
Yeah.
One of the quotes is like, I have my mind for life, so I'm going to invest in that. I'm like, bang. Yes, please.
That's so good. So good. I've also learned that lesson a few times and I love it. And I wish like I could just like put that into people's minds. You know, some people who like could feel, I think, better, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It's such a good lesson. But yeah, I think it applies to certain problems and not others in my mind. But plenty of problems that people suffer from.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's all about how they see the world. And you can see the world in so many negative lights, or you can see the world in a good light.
Yeah.
You know, when people go like, oh, the world, such a horrible place, really messed up. I'm like, what? I'm like, I cannot relate.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have those happy, grateful
so
goggles on. That's how I see the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world can be many things.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always help to focus on the negative, for sure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You can train your brain, by the way, guys. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I think I see it more in a negative way, you can train your brain to see all the good things.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any resources for them?
Yeah, go listen to the Mel Robbins podcast. She's all about self-development, but made simple and like science-backed. But the main thing she talks about is the RAS, which is your reticular activating system. I love this. So this is the thing that filters in and out everything in your life, because if you actually picked up on every single thing you heard or read or saw, your brain would go into absolute overload. So that's why, like, if you're, classic example, if you've just bought a car, you're going to see that car around everywhere. People didn't just start driving that car, but your brain decided, oh, this is important to me. So you can actually train your brain to then see like all the good things if you want. So like at the end of the day, what I love to do before I go to bed is think about all the good things that happened in my day. And then if you do that long enough, what you'll notice is that when those things happen in the day, you'll already be like, oh my God, this is like, I'm so grateful for this,
That's amazing.
Yeah. So then you're training your brain.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And a little bit of devil's advocate of how I used to think, and now I think more like you, is that I would be like, okay, that's great. I believe you can train your brain. I believe you can be more positive, but I am more interested in truth than tricking myself into being more positive. But it's exactly what you explained this person is saying. Like, you can't understand everything. Like, you can't take in everything accurately. You always see things through a perspective. I believe now that I will never understand the world for what it truly is. So I should stop trying and I should just frame it in a positive way, because I'm going to see it in a frame. It's not going to be complete. And so why not the positive one?
Yeah. But it also doesn't mean that it needs to be toxic positivity. Like, I'm not promoting that at all. I used to be like a toxic positive person. It's just not helpful. Like, you're allowed to be like, okay, this situation like is shit and it's hard and I'm allowed to find it hard, but you don't need to like make it harder than it needs to be.
But that can also help if you be positive. Like, you're like, this is hard. Let myself be upset about it. You know what I mean? Like, if you just like, it's okay.
Yeah. And like push it off.
You're going to be like, what's wrong with me? Why am I upset?
100%. Yeah. That circles back to the conversation we're having at the beginning of like, when I'm feeling sad, I don't need to be like, oh my God, why am I feeling sad? It's like, yeah, you just accept it.
Yeah.
But that I heard that on a podcast recently, actually, where it's just like, yeah, you're allowed to find things hard. I was like, oh, like if you're going through a hard time, like maybe you're going through a heartbreak or something, the best thing you can do is to go like, yeah, I'm allowed to find this hard. This is hard, and that's okay.
Didn't you do a heartbreak podcast?
Yes, I did. It wasn't my heartbreak, but it was with a relationship coach.
Right.
And that was one of the things he said as well. He was like, of course, like you need a period of mourning and to feel all the feels. Don't just push it off and feel fine. And I think that's with like anything in life. So like if something bad happens, or quote unquote bad, or annoying happens, like I'll always allow myself to feel it for a bit, and then I'll be like, okay, we're not going to be in victim mode. Let's, step out. What can we do? But it's fine to feel it. It's great to feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You can tell I'm passionate about that one.
So good. What are you passionate about that people don't know? Or are you pretty public? I feel like there, of course, has to be something, but maybe you don't want to share it. That's the reason why people
what am I passionate about that people don't know? I'm passionate about like holistic health, just from like my own experiences and like having experienced like mainstream health and holistic health, and both have helped me. But I'm really passionate about kind of using as much natural, like eating, good food, making sure your diet's really good. And then also if I'm ill, using more like the natural route. And then I also completely think there's a time and a place for mainstream as well. But just from my personal experiences of being ill and then being cured from natural remedies, I'm an advocate for it. But it's not something that I'll like publicly constantly talk about, because I think people can, they can go to a different place to find that out, because I'm not a professional, and people have way better resources. But that is something I'm passionate about.
Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm also passionate about just how can you help yourself in like the way that seems the healthiest, right? In general, holistically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know that much about it. I suppose like it's probably a controversial topic, like in terms of like, whatever.
Yeah, some people can take it controversial. Like even me speaking about the whole jabbity dabbity, that used to be very controversial, and now it's kind of a lot less, because people are like, oh yeah, like fair enough that you didn't get it, but back when everything was happening, if people didn't know my story, they could like cast a lot of judgments. Luckily, like all my friends were like so beautiful and so supportive of it, which was good, because, I thought I was fucking crazy at times because of how the government maybe perceived it. But yeah.
Yeah, it was an insane time.
It was a crazy time.
I went to Albania, where they have no restrictions, or they weren't enforcing any restrictions.
Oh, nice.
It was like one of the only places in the world at the time.
Yeah.
So I met all of these people who were like, had crazy opinions.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
That's actually something I'm also passionate about, is like from what happened with all the lockdowns and all of that, like it made me be like, oh my God, like I need to be in control of like my finances and my freedom, because if stuff like that happens again, like, I don't know, like the fact that they could shut down the world, it just shows how much power. So like you want to have your own freedom, and maybe that could be like, having a bit of emergency crypto, because they can't seize your bank accounts, but like they can seize your bank account, but they can't seize your crypto, for example. So like actually owning crypto could be a form of freedom for you in case situations like that happen. And I know I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist, but like they literally shut down the world. So you don't know what can happen. Like,
sure.
And I would love to believe that won't happen ever again. But like, I don't know. I personally just love to know that if something does happen, I can, I have freedom.
Yeah, these things happen. My Russian friend was only able to use crypto because all of her credit cards were.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. So true. There you go. So yeah, own crypto, guys.
Another question, different topic. What is it like? What is it like knowing that people know you more than you know them because of your podcast?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this one's a weird one. A lot of my friends will be like, it feels like we catch up every single week. But then I realize it's just one-sided because they'll listen to my podcast each week. Yeah, it's kind of weird because I feel like maybe I don't have as many, like I still have deep chats with people, but people hear my deep insights, but I don't hear theirs. And I get to hear the guests, but yeah, I guess I just have to make more of an effort with my friends to make sure we're still having those like deep conversations because I love having them.
Yeah.
But then I'm worried that I'm repeating myself. People will be like, wait, did podcast Andy tell me this or did real Andy tell me this? I'm like, oh no.
But I'm sure it's not a huge problem. Like, they'll stop you if you start telling them something.
Yeah, I'm like, not sure if I've said this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're good at asking questions about the other people. Like we said when we met, it was very hard to learn about you.
Sorry.
No.
Was that annoying?
Fine. No.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
I have this weird fear. I don't know. I think growing up, my dad always drilled into me. The thing people want to talk about is themselves. So then when people ask me about myself, I'm like, I don't think they actually want to know. You know? Yeah. I don't know. It's just this fear now. And I'm like, oh, I think I've taken it to the extreme.
Yeah, I know this feeling that like being surrounded by people who are really polite, how can you trust what they really mean? Right?
Yeah. But like when I'm asking people, I'm genuinely interested. I'm not just doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was really cool because Cam and I always meet people that he knows. So you didn't know either of us. So we actually had a different sort of conversation than normal. Where
cool.
The two of us were kind of explaining ourselves and each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right? I loved meeting you guys. That made my whole night.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was so nice.
Hopefully it made your night because we spent the whole night talking.
Yeah, we did. Literally. It was so good.
Cool. I'm going to check if Lucas has messaged me.
Yeah, go for it.
Should I bring my phone in? I'll just get this phone.
It's crawling. Whilst we're here, we're going to have a quick intermission break. This podcast is sponsored by laughter. I'll tell you guys a joke.
If I come back outside, yeah, tell them the joke.
Okay.
If I go outside, how do I get back in?
It's unlocked. Okay. The joke is I'm really on the spot here. Hopefully Freddie's going to edit this out. Okay. A man goes to buy 12 bees from a beekeeper. So he goes, hey, can I buy 12 bees? The beekeeper goes, sure, here you go. So he handed him the bees, they exchange money. And the guy goes back home and he goes, oh, how many bees do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He goes, oh my gosh, what? An extra bee. So he calls up the beekeeper and he goes, hey, I think you gave me an extra bee. And he goes, yeah, that was a free bee. Oh, I just had a really good joke.
Oh, yeah? Did you already tell it?
Yeah, I did. So people found it really funny.
The people found it funny.
I sat here for so long, was like, should I say it? And then I said it.
And you got the feedback already?
Yeah, they were laughing. Oh, you look so cool.
Jealous?
Yeah.
You should have grabbed the sexy Santa hat.
Ah, the sexy Santa hat. I'll wear it for the next one.
So are we at the... Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah, maybe I'll save this for the Lucas one.
Yeah, okay.
So it doesn't look like we just time traveled or something.
Outfit difference. Forgotten how to English. Okay. Oh, we're good.
So it's all ready to go?
Yep. She's recording.
Thank you for just being in charge of this.
Yeah, no worries.
We don't have that much more time. I'm going to ask another random question. Hopefully it'll spark something. And otherwise, feel free to just jump into any other topics that we want to touch on beforehand. And we can always do another podcast in the future, because I think that could be cool, whatever we do. Like, joining forces in another way, collaborating.
Exactly.
I think I heard you say something about what your 20s are supposed to be.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder what role age plays in your identity and how the number differentiates itself, or how you differentiate like the feeling of age as a number versus just your age. And like what I mean, I guess, well, I'm not 100% sure what I mean, but what I'm kind of getting at is like, when you turn from 23 to 24 overnight, you feel like you're a different age, but actually you only age the same as any other day, right? Something like that. Yeah. What role does age play in your identity?
Yeah, age plays a big role because, like, I always think about, this is really weird, but I always think about, like, being a mum because I'm so excited to be a mum. Like, I'm just so excited. But obviously it's not something I'd want to be for, like, 10 years or something. So I always think about being a mum because when I'm a mum, I want to have done everything that I've wanted to do. Like, obviously I'm still going to keep doing stuff. It's not going to, like, pause my life, but I want to have, like, really built up something where I can, like, be a mum and then also have, like, my business, but have it majority run by somebody else, but then also be able to, like, input, you know what I mean? And so I always think about my age. I'm like, cool, I'm 23 now. Like, I really want to send it in everything that I want to do, because I know when I'm a mum, one, you're not going to have much time. So I want to really utilize my time well. So, like, train for a marathon because you have the time to train for that. Like, I'm really using this time to be as selfish as I can because I'm like, cool, let's train hard, let's travel, let's like go hard with my passions, see if I can make something of it, because, like, we have so much time now. And if all else fails, and I know we shouldn't have backup options, but I'm like, if all else fails, like, say if I couldn't make my podcast something that you can live off, then I'm like, well, I've just built up incredible editing skills, incredible communication skills, people skills, like, so many skills go into making a podcast that I'm extremely hireable, even though I'm not going to need that. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm still building something that will generate a lot of money, whether it's through a job or through my own thing. But yeah, I do think about age a lot. And yeah, I'm like, cool, 20s is for learning and growing and building. Yeah.
And enjoying?
Yeah, for sure. But, like, all of this is fun.
Yeah.
Like, I find it fun, building and growing.
Cool.
Yeah. I find that I'm thriving when I'm just sending it in all areas. If I'm like, oh, 20s is just for traveling and having fun, I don't need to put away money, I don't need to be building up my career, I don't really find that fun. Like, I compare traveling and building together.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to go overseas for 6 weeks and I am so fortunate that I'll be able to work whilst I'm overseas. And I just asked my boss, like, can I just work 2 days a week instead? And he was like, yeah, for sure. Like, he's so chill.
Sick.
He was like, yeah, just do a minimum of half a day a week and I'm good. But, like, I'm like, cool, I'll just do 2 days a week and be able to travel and be able to still do my podcast. So it's like, you can do it all. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So, so you love building and growing, being productive.
Yeah.
And you know that your time is limited, but you have a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be a mom.
Yeah.
And you know that you know nothing, so you need to explore and learn as much as you can. That is such a combo for just becoming a super person, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely learning and growing. I mean, that's why I started the podcast, because I was like, cool, it's such a great platform to just be able to get these big dogs on, pick their brain for an hour and a half and just learn so much. And then everyone gets to learn together. That's why it's learning and growing together. Yeah.
Wow. So you did say, so you love new experiences, new opportunities, and learning and growing. But you also said you're learning how to say no to some things, and you value your time. How do you know what a good use of your time is? What is a good experience and a bad one?
That's such a good question. That's definitely something I'm learning, because like the other day there was, that free yoga event that I sent you? In the morning, I was just like, fuck, I'm really tired. I really don't want to go to this. But at the same time, the person who was running it, I really wanted to meet. And I just knew that the people who I kind of want to meet would be at that event. So I was like, I need to go to this. And then I went, and lo and behold, I met this really sick dude. And I was like, can he come on a podcast? Because he's like a professional mountain biker. So he gets to go from one top of the mountain to the end of the mountain in the quickest time as possible. I was like, what the heck? That sounds so cool. Anyway, so it's just like knowing when to say yes to things that are going to be good networking events to meet really cool people, because I really think having a good network is so crucial. And I've just been able to get really cool people on because of my network and because of like putting myself out there. But then like things to say no to is maybe like if your friendship group is like always doing things and always going out for drinks or stuff, like I'm really happy to say no, because I'm like, well, I'm either inside editing because I just love it, or I just want to go to bed early so I can wake up early and do productive things. So I think it's just like knowing, and then also having fun. Like you have to have an element of fun in there. But like, even going to Jackson's 21st, one, I got to celebrate his beautiful birthday. But two, I got to meet you guys. So I always think like going to social things is actually usually pretty good. And then just like not socializing too much though. I haven't really answered your question, have I?
Oh, you totally did. You're kind, yeah. I it makes a lot of sense to me. You're looking for new opportunities to meet new people that will help you strengthen the things, like expand the things you're already working on and excited about.
Yeah. But then also making sure you're maintaining and building the friendships that you're choosing to invest in.
Right.
Because like some of my closest friends are like the best investment of time and energy. Sorry, it makes it seem like I'm using people. I'm not. We both like give and take. But like, for example, one of my new-ish friends, she's called Brooke. I actually met her through having her on the podcast, but we're both kind of very like entrepreneurial, business-like. We both love creating content. And so when we meet up, we're talking about those things. And so we're lifting each other up, and it feels so empowering, and it makes the journey so much easier because you've got someone who's also trying to do the same thing. So obviously building it and maintaining your friendships are good.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So, I love this focus on connections, on the people, on networking, and there's so many amazing people doing cool stuff on the Gold Coast.
There really is. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Do you think that this could be done anywhere? Do you feel like there's like a unique community up here? Would you ever think about going to like? Would you ever think of certain places being associated with, like, I mean, probably there's places where more people are doing things that you're interested in, right? Maybe not more than the Gold Coast, because this is the best place in the world. No. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Like, is in the best place for my podcast, or just in general?
Just like, do you think that anyone can find these communities, like, anywhere in the world? Wherever they are?
Look, there's probably communities in every place, but it just depends on like the energy that you want to be around and the pace of the place. Like when I was in England and I was still just like feeling really confused about life and what I should do, I wasn't living on the Gold Coast yet, but I just knew in my gut, I was just like, I have to move to the Gold Coast. And even though it didn't make sense with all the restrictions on non-Dabbery-do people, and I didn't know when it was going to be lifted, I just knew in my gut, I was like, I have to move to this place because these people are really entrepreneurial. They're going after what they want. They're not going down the traditional route of like, get a 9-to-5, retire, all of that. I was like, that's not what I want. That's not who I am. And I really want to build my own thing and be my own person. Whereas in England, and because I come from a very traditional family and I love them and they're so great, but they are very traditional and they'll always be like, oh, so have you got a, internship at a business firm yet? I just knew that if I stayed, it would be so much harder to do what I want to do because I'd constantly have to be justifying myself, or I would struggle to find the people who I vibe with and who get me. And then as soon as I moved to the Gold Coast, I made so many amazing friends who are pretty much all business owners or, self-made. So I just knew that I had to be around that type of energy. And I'm sure I could have maybe done it in England, but it's so much easier when you're in the right environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
actually
sick.
crucial. Yeah.
Right. It's so good that you understand that, because a lot of people, I think, are like, they think they're not as influenced by their surroundings
You are.
as they are.
You are. So 100%. I've never felt so brave and bold and like limitless than when I moved to the Gold Coast, because you're just around that energy. You're around people who are like, yeah, I make $20,000 a month. And then you go like, oh shit, like that's possible. So yeah, it's showing what's possible as well.
How did you know they had this community here? Had you been here before?
I lived in Brisbane, so it's like only an hour and a half away, but God, they're so different. But I would come down to the beach like 2 or 3 times a week. It was actually getting out of hand because, again, I love the ocean. But I don't know. I didn't really know many people on here. I just felt it in my gut. I was like, I just need to move here.
How did you meet people?
This one of my friends, Kai, messaged me on Instagram, and we didn't know each other, and he just said, "Hey, I run this community called Sunset Crew." And he didn't really explain it well. I was like, I don't really get what this is. I thought it was more like entrepreneurs talking about their business ideas. So I was like, okay, sounds sick. So he was like, I'd love for you to come to a session. And I was like, I'm actually overseas at the moment, but when I come back, I'll come. And then I went, and then I met those people there. And then they were like, oh, you should come to Familyhood, which is a place where you like work out on the beach Saturday mornings. And then you go for like a coffee and a socializing. And that was really good because, again, you're meeting people who are up at like 5:30 in the morning on a Saturday morning. So, of course, they're kind of going to be like-minded, ambitious people. So, yeah. And then from there, it just had a really good ripple effect, and you just meet really, really cool people.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so Gold Coast from what I understand, that he would just like reach out to you.
Yeah.
And the ripple effect is real. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm so happy for you. That's so good.
I always preach. I'm like, Gold Coast is literally the easiest place to move to and not know anyone, because it's so easy to meet people. Whereas I've heard that moving to different cities is really hard if you don't have like school or uni or a place where you're going to meet lots of people. It can be really hard and lonely. And so I'm very lucky that on the Gold Coast it's not like that.
For sure. Yeah, it's one of the goals of this podcast to help empower people to just get more ideas of how to meet people and have these conversations on their own.
Yeah. But also, if you're in a city where you're like, fuck, I don't have any of these communities, it's like, you can start one, and then you'll attract the people who you want to meet.
True.
Yeah.
True. There's definitely people out there that feel the same as you. Like
Yeah.
if you're in the city and you feel a certain way, and it's a big city, there's definitely people who feel the same way.
Yeah. Or I always say, like, going to places where you think your people will be. So, like, even joining a gym is a really good place because, again, if they're working out at 5:30 in the morning, they're probably going to be a little bit insane like you. So that's good.
Yeah. Or maybe if you're not someone who wants to work out at 5:30 in the morning like me, work at a different time and then find my people.
Yeah. Or maybe, like, I don't know, go to a bookstore or something. I don't know. Yeah. I just think you got to make an effort because community is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, so we got to wrap this up.
Yep.
It was so awesome talking to you, and I hope we do it again.
Hell yeah. I'd love that. Thank you so much. I honestly was so flattered when you asked me. I was like, oh, I'd love to come on.
Thank you so much. I was so excited that you're keen and that we made it happen.
And you're a great host, by the way. You've asked very good questions.
Thank you.
Have I opened up? Have you learnt more about me?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. It's awesome to be the one who gets to ask the questions because I get to ask the stuff I'm curious about, right? And there's more, but no time.
No time. Okay.
So this is us logging off. This is the Post Definitions podcast with your host, Freddie Lancia.
And Andy.
And, do all that stuff. Give us feedback and put us on social media and all that shit.
Yeah. And leave a review because that really helps Freddie's podcast. You can just click the stars. It's really easy.
Yeah. If you like it.
Yeah. And then click follow along as well.
So happy to hear from you guys. And one of the reasons why I started this is to stay in touch with old friends and maybe make some new ones. So please reach out.
Yeah, definitely. And like so much time and energy goes into doing these, and it's all for like free. So it's always nice when somebody just like messages because it costs nothing, but nothing but their time and energy. So if you do get something from it, let Freddie know because he's doing a great job.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, bye. I just get so awkward saying goodbye. I'm like, bye.